is when this country was founded. So 80 years later, in 1856, the first worship was held on this corner by some very faithful Episcopalians, and since then, we have continued that tradition down to this day, and we hope that it will continue for a long, long time. So this little corner of Ironton, Ohio, has seen a lot of prayer, a lot of hope, a lot of salvation occur, time gathering in good times, gathering in bad times, gathering in times of when there's weddings, and in times of funerals. But I'll come back to a little bit more about this church, because today, on the calendar, if you look on a liturgical calendar, and on some secular calendars, it makes a note of it. Today is what we call St. Nicholas Day. And St. Nicholas Day is an interesting one. St. Nicholas was a bishop in the 4th century in an area called Myra. And Myra is, if you look on a map today, you would find it in southern Turkey. And the bishop was fond of, and he had this clandestine way of helping the poor and helping those who are in need. And oftentimes a lot of people refer to St. Nicholas as kind of like the very first gift giver, the one who really became in tune and made it part of his ministry of providing for the poor and for those in need. And he did this in a lot of different ways and made a huge difference in the lives of those that he served as bishop in southern Turkey. Now, that tradition continues down in a lot of European countries. I think there's some pockets of it where it's still expressed in the United States, where young children will put out the night before or tonight their shoes, and in hopes to receive a small treat, a small token. And hence that's where we get the idea that if you're good, you get something, you get a reward. If you don't, you get what? A lump of coal. Or worse, as some of the historians have pointed out, perhaps a twig is all you got. So who wants to do that? But what a marvelous occasion for us to remind ourselves of St. Nicholas and his generosity towards others, especially during the Christmas season. It encourages us to be in a giving mood, not only for those that we love and are close to, but in our own way to help out those who are less fortunate than ours. So it's a marvelous day. It's a marvelous day, and it's a marvelous chance for us to gather in this church as well. But returning back to this church, it's built out of stone, which is an uncommon material used to build churches in the tri-state area. We're also known for our stained glass. You can obviously see this one stained glass window. If you wish to stand and turn and see the other one in the back, feel free to. It's equally beautiful as well. We're very blessed to have that as a work of art. In 2022, we dedicated the hall, which I'll ask you guys to walk out and you can see it. We dedicated the hall to the church, and we added some more space to the church where we can gather and have more room for storing things and things that we need for our weekly worship as well. But that's about all I have. Are there any questions or anything else? I did have one other little thought that I wanted to share, but I thought I would ask. Okay. Well, we are also considered what you would call a liturgical church, which means we have a liturgical calendar and we have seasons we follow. We are in the season of Advent. We celebrate Advent for the 4 weeks prior to Christmas, and then we follow it by a Christmas season. Then there's Lent, then there's Easter, and the Sundays after Pentecost. But we're in that, and we have these 4 candles. This is the Advent wreath. We celebrate joy, peace, hope, and love as the 4 themes for the 4 weeks of Advent. And so this is how we begin our year, in preparation, looking forward, and saying with great joy, it's the beginning of a new year, and it's also a time for renewal for us as well, but it's also a time of looking forward to something, and we all know what that is. It's the joy of Christmas. But anyway, I thank you for your attention. If If any of you are curious and would like to know more, we gather for worship at 9:30 on Sunday morning. We're also online on Facebook as well, on our Facebook page. Thank you, and I'll send you on to your next church if you wish to go up this way. And if you go this way, follow down the steps.